a single word in this story is true, not one single word. My backyard cemetery began when Froggy the tadpole had died tragically 2 days after my kids brought him home from an elementary school fair. We put Froggy in a plastic pill bottle and buried him beneath the coconut trees. I led the eulogy. Froggy was a good tadpole, kind, generous, and now he is in tadpole heaven. A few months later, I buried Hambone the hamster in a cigar box. Hambone was followed by Peggy the parakeet and her 6 unfortunate babies, all lovingly laid out in a cotton-lined shoebox. New customers seemed to keep on coming. Another parakeet called Uncle Leo, Morris and Evelyn Goldfish, Boo Boo the cockatoo, a gerbil named Richard Gere. Our backyard boneyard had become popular. I had to draw a map to prevent a potentially embarrassing disinterment. But it was just a small mom and pop cemetery until we got a call from my wife's best friend, Kathy. Kathy was a chain smoker with an ash-colored cat called Nicorette. Nicorette had just died. Kathy was freaking out and she knew about our backyard boneyard. I thought it was a really bad idea because I didn't feel like digging. But my wife said, please, it's just one little cat. Nicorette, as it turned out, was an enormous obese cat. I had to buy a shovel and a pickaxe and dig an enormous obese hole. I gave the eulogy. Both Kathy and my wife cried. I rolled my eyes and shoveled the dirt. Then Kathy's other cat, Bipsy, died. Then her first dog, Duke. Then her second dog, Earl. At Earl's funeral, I said, here lies whatever. I was officially demoted to gravedigger, but I didn't mind. The coconut trees were thriving, and the coconuts were surprisingly delicious. Our first cat, Baby Kitty, lived to an overripe old age. I finally took her to the family veterinarian. She was so thin, she looked like a skin of a cat stretched over a hanger. The vet took one look at the poor old cat and told me he would mercifully put it to sleep. He assured me Baby Kitty wouldn't feel a thing. He gently slipped the needle into her shoulder and gave me a compassionate look. Any last words, he asked me. I hadn't prepared a eulogy, but I leaned close and whispered, don't worry, Baby Kitty. I've got a beautiful spot for you right in my backyard, right beneath the coconut trees. The veterinarian was stunned. He said firmly, you cannot do that. It is completely illegal. People cannot bury animals in their backyard. What do you do with them, I asked. We have them cremated. It's only $100. Or we take them to a pet cemetery if you have one. As Baby Kitty flooded her eyes and let out a dying sigh, my phone rang. My wife wanted to know if the vet had done the dirty deed. She was crying. I'm sorry, honey, I told her. And the bad news is, I can't bring Baby Kitty home. We can't put her in the boneyard. She was devastated. The good news, it only cost $100 to have her cremated. No, she sobbed. I don't want Baby Kitty tossed into a fire. Let me talk to the vet. The next day, Baby Kitty was buried in Forever Pet Cemetery. $1,500. Forever gone. Our 2 old dogs, Chansey and Lexus, were also put down by our veterinarian. I threw them into the fire. Fortunately, our last pet, Patch the cat, died at home. I buried him by myself in the dead of night wearing dark clothing. We told our children to keep the boneyard a secret, or the animals would claw their way out of the ground and eat them. Problem solved. Then my wife thinks about selling the house and shows the realtor our backyard boneyard. He freaks out and curses and tells us he is now legally required to disclose that fact to home buyers. He informs us it will be impossible to sell a house with an illegal and probably toxic pet cemetery. They will have to do an environmental impact study and hazardous removal of the decomposing carcasses. we will most likely receive a huge fine for polluting the ground and the groundwater that everyone drinks. If we don't disclose the existence of the boneyard, and it is later discovered, we could end up in jail. We were terrified. The ghosts of the tadpoles and birds and hamsters and cats and dogs had come back to haunt us. We took the house off the market and swore the realtor to secrecy. He was no longer a realtor and had no legal obligation to tell anybody anything. We decided it was time to be responsible. No more animals would ever be buried in our backyard boneyard. And we made our own funeral arrangements so our kids wouldn't have to worry about it. In fact, it won't cost them a penny. All they have to do is dig a couple of holes.